What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Off the Top Rope, off the Mike Sports Network. So I did over an hour. And to be honest with you, I just was getting pestered with a bunch of comments. Thank you for being a lively bunch on Wednesday nights. It seems like that's the most lively night for interaction on here on the channel. So listen, I don't know what the fuck AEW is doing. Their sicko fan base is going to eat this shit up because, they want something to latch on to. But I don't know. And I tweeted this out, and you guys can follow me at those handles up in the upper left hand corner. I don't know how you can look at basically this is back to back pay per views where they've had their biggest North American crowd ever in Texas, nearly 30,000 people. It was like between 20, they're saying like 27, 28,000 people in a baseball stadium, Globe Life Field in Arlington, Texas. And then they go right from that into a residency with just under 1,500 people at the Aragon Ballroom in Chicago. And they do that for 3 weeks. Then they go to London for and actually last week they had 8,000 people in Scotland at the Hydro. And then on Sunday they have nearly 19,000 people at the O2 in London for Forbidden Door. It was a pretty forgettable show. I talked about that. And they come out of that with one of these shows that, they're in front of 900 people. In front of 900 people. And I understand that the ECW arena, the 2300 arena in Philadelphia, has a lot of lineage and a lot of history. And I understand Tony Khan wanted to sort of capture the essence of ECW. And, in some respect, there was some of that, even with that Darby Allin and Claudio match to main event this show. And, some of the feel and the look of the arena was great. But let's just look at this at the optics of this. We are basically on the same. This was 2 years to the day of their biggest event ever, all in London in 2023, which had 80,000 people at Wembley Stadium. You had 19,000 people in the O2, the biggest arena that London has, and it was a lively crowd. It was an incredible atmosphere in London. And you go from that and you come back to the United States in front of 900 people. I don't know how, you guys can talk about how lively the crowd was. The reality is simple. The optics are not great. And I said this literally last month at the same time, like about 6 weeks. So this was about 6 weeks ago, right after All In Texas, we go right to Chicago in front of like 1,200 people in a ballroom. No matter what you think about the intimate atmospheres, and I understand that this is an alternative, going from 19,000 down to 900 people is not good. And again, like I said, 80,000 2 years ago at this time. You go to 19,000, and then immediately after the pay-per-view, you go to 900 people. We'll see how the television rating is. NXT did not do very well this week. They had 600,000 people watching. NXT's probably still going to outdraw because they're on network television, and it's TBS or Max. And like, listen, there's not a lot of people watching on Max. But the other thing that was troubling to me, and this was the same thing that happened with All in Texas, AEW cannot follow up a pay-per-view with a good show to save their life. Some people are trying to convince me that, hey, there was some good stories that came out of this. Guys, do you realize that coming out of that show, some of the biggest things that happened on that show, Hurt Syndicate lost their tag team titles. The Hurt Syndicate are not going after the tag team titles anymore, and they're feuding with Ricochet and the Gates of Agony. Cope and Christian, going after FTR, we knew that this was happening. That was probably some of the best storytelling stuff that we had. And so at least they followed up that. But hey, Jon Moxley, we know him and Darby Allin are doing something, but Jon Moxley's fighting Daniel Garcia on this show. You've had Mercedes Moné just hogging up a segment for whatever reason. You have, a random women's tag match where, and then, hey, Jamie Hayter makes a return on the pay-per-view. She's not on this show. Wardlow, who makes a big time return effectively, writes off Prince Nana and Swerve Strickland, and we don't even hear from him at all why he's with Don Callis. And this guy hasn't been on television since March of last year. Really? That's your story? And then, hey, Hangman Adam Page beats MJF. MJF's not on the show. He had a pre-taped interview that happened after the fact. So we know he still has, and we know he's kind of going away. We have no idea who Hangman is facing for the World Championship moving forward. We got 3 weeks until all out in Toronto when you're going head-to-head with WWE's first PLE on ESPN. And, Toni Storm, we have no idea what she's doing. Mercedes Moné hogs up a segment for whatever reason, doesn't advance any form of story. She says she's facing Alex Windsor, but Alex Windsor's not out there, so how are we elevating anything there? And then Darby Allin faces Claudio in admittedly what was a good spot fest for a Falls Count Anywhere match, but the match ended in the ring. So did we really advance anything? And then on top of it, like when the biggest talking point of your whole thing is that you went from 19,000 people down to 900. I don't care what the atmosphere was like, or if it was an intimate, unique building. Like, it didn't sound great for the television viewer. If it was good for you being one of the 900 people there, cool. Like, it was neat to see the ECW event. But hey, we literally saw it a week ago with, NXT. You guys are supposed to be the second biggest promotion in North America. You just had a show in front of 19,000 people. You think it's good optically to go in front of 900 people and not advance a single story going into your next pay-per-view when you know you're facing somebody? I just don't think that this company cares. I don't think that they care. I do not think that they value anything. I think everything is just a game to them. And as long as their sicko fan base is supporting them, they don't give a shit. They don't. Because you can, like, what really was advanced on Wednesday night? And you've got, 3 weeks to get to All Out. And like I said, if the one big talking point that everybody's talking about is like, hey, 19,000 people down to 900, that's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. I think it was officially, 18,990? So if you take 18,000 people out of that, you would get the attendance for Dynamite. And they're doing this for another couple of weeks, I think. Cool. I mean, there's a bit of nostalgia, but listen, why continue to do these residencies right after a pay-per-view? WWE is not in a good spot creatively. If you guys told compelling stories and you actually put yourself in, bigger venues, maybe you draw more people. But you're not. And you're not telling enough compelling stories to lure your audience in. Should be about building new people up. Like I said, there was a couple of things I liked on the show. They're teasing tension with Takeshita and Okada. Kenny Omega maybe faces Hangman for the world title. That's fine. Cope and Christian stuff. I listen, that's a good bit of nostalgia, but that's all they really have in their back pocket. And then, 8-man tag, all-star tags. We're doing that every single week. We already have the one for next week booked. It's like a running joke at this point. They don't care. Because if they did, they would try to change some of these things. This is literally like Groundhog Day. This is literally the exact same thing that we were talking about after All in Texas. We're like, why are you going from a completely packed pay-per-view event where it was very good optically, a very lively crowd, and a pretty good event that you guys put on, and then all of a sudden you come out of that, there's no storyline advancement, and you're in front of less than 1,500 people. In this case, less than 1,000 people. I don't know what this company, what their priorities is, but man, it's amazing just how little AEW cares. They just don't care. It's lethargic. It's just, and it's especially when you can see that there is a window potentially with all of the bad PR and the bad publicity that's going on with WWE. They're still making money, but there's people and there's reason to, be concerned. Like, their shows have not been good. I've talked about it on here. So I don't know what you guys want me to tell you. I mean, I'm not going to, this is not me hating on AEW just for the sake of hating on AEW. I want this company to do well, but they seem to be just content with, having a high-priced roster, having a bunch of toys going around and trying to feel up a bunch of nostalgia. It'd be one thing if you waited if you waited like a week or two and did something for like a specialty run and a specialty show, a special Dynamite or a special Collision from Philadelphia in the 2300 arena, the ECW arena. But doing it right after a pay-per-view where he had a packed house, second time in a row. I don't think this company has their priorities in the right place. So anyway, that's how I feel. Anyway, thanks so much. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.